Holly. Labor to his bootstraps. Holly Hughes, Liberal to hers, which means Team Red, Team Blue fight time. Yay, let's all agree. Thank you so much for joining. Now, let's not spend the whole segment talking about this because Melbourne had it harder, okay? Firstly, it went longer and they had that stupid curfew, okay? But Gladys did say what she said today, which was that New South Wales is currently having the harder restrictions than what they had in Victoria. Now, Holly, would you not agree with me that you can say that and still be a good supporter of your side of politics?
Look, I'm actually in Canberra at the moment in isolation before I go to Parliament. So I've actually got out of Sydney, and the extension of the lockdowns is really hard for a lot of people to take, and particularly those in areas of Sydney, which is considerably larger than Melbourne. And people don't tend to travel around so much out of their areas all the time in Sydney. So there's areas like the Northern Beaches and some others that have had very few cases. It's very tough for them to look at an entire Greater Sydney lockdown for this extended period. But I got to tell you, I am sick to my back teeth with this. We did it harder than you did. And it's almost ideological now. It's like you still have stores open and, God forbid, capitalism and personal responsibility in New South Wales versus we did good old socialism and big old government nanny state down here. So we did it harder and tougher. Well, good on you. But I'm quite frankly over it. And I think it shows the pettiness that's going on between all of the state governments at the moment. Some point we're going to have to remember this is one country and we need to get back to a situation where we can travel across it without having this fear or favour of border restrictions at the moment. I can't even get my kids to come down and see me in Canberra because they have to go into quarantine/isolation for 14 days, even if they're, when they're only planning to come for a weekend. You want to put 3 teens and preteens in an apartment for a weekend? Well, it's not going to go very well. No. This is happening across the country, and this is border restrictions. And as I said yesterday on Sky, my 10-year-old said to me, come on, Mum, you're fully vaccinated. You've had 2 negative tests in the last week. This is insane, and I'm not allowed out to get a cup of coffee. Go for a walk.
Yeah, well, proportionality is what I expected out of the New South Wales government. They have failed to deliver it with, 8 local government areas with 0 cases, 21 with 5 or fewer, and 26 currently with 10 or fewer. But again, Stephen, I don't want to waste the whole segment on this, okay? You had a curfew. It went for 4 months. Melbourne had it worse. No question.
No, look, I think the facts speak for themselves. It's, Gladys is obviously desperate to show some credentials, given she's being criticised by even the Prime Minister behind the scenes for not having gone hard enough, fast enough. And I think the facts speak for themselves. Andrew Connell has done a very good job pursuing her and holding her to her previous words. We had the curfew, we had the 5 kilometres, we had 1 hour out at a time. I'm still wearing a mask outside every single moment today. So yes, it was absurd for her to say it, but she's clutching at some straws to some degree to try and head off the Alan Jones faction of the Liberal Party.
Yeah, well, here's what Danielle Andrews apparently said today.
The points that have been made around Sydney is about trying to keep the virus where it is now and not have it spread. There's a difference of opinion. I've made our position very clear. And the thing is, just again, I make the point, and I'm not here today to talk about Sydney. This is not an academic thing. I'm asking for something that we did, and it worked. Now, I can only ask.
Let alone, of course, the hotel quarantine that worked. That did. Anyway, I'm over it. I don't care. Australians united, okay? Now, I want to get a really quick observation from both of you on a couple of things before I get to winners and losers, and then the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg's going to join us. Apparently, do you put much credence in the reports today that due to the social distancing restrictions and a lot of other rules in and around who can and can't access the Victorian Parliament, that has meant that there has not been a leadership coup against the Liberal leader in Victoria, Stephen? I think these things can be organised, as Sam Dastyari reenacted for us many times, over a little thing called a mobile phone.
Yeah, I did think that was a little embarrassing. I mean, the last coup crashed and burned. I guess they can't afford to take the risk of stuffing a second one up because they will truly do their brand some significant damage. But Yeah, I mean, you call a ballot, you see if you've got enough people who support calling a ballot, and then you can, text in your vote if you like. So yes, I think this is getting pretty funny. I mean, I can hear Holly laughing in embarrassment, and I mean that in a kind way.
Well, no, Holly,
this is frankly ridiculous.
Yeah, Holly, what Stephen's doing is outlining the process for how they're going to do Albo. You can do it by Zoom, you can do it by carrier pigeon. It doesn't matter. He's there to help. That's what's happening here. That's what's going to happen here. I know how this works. Also, what about Daniel Andrews, who's passed rules that the CFMEU is now going to be able to pick up the video camera and start filming behaviours that they don't like or things that they don't like on building sites. What do you think of this, Holly?
Well, the CFMEU has such a stellar reputation of conducting itself in a civilised and legal way, I think, in many cases. So I think this is really dangerous territory. But as I read somewhere earlier today, if Dan Andrews doesn't like the way the unions are behaving or they're behaving in an illegal manner, he just makes sure he makes it legal for them. So, that's actually very problematic for a lot of businesses, a lot of builders, a lot of construction sites, that these sorts of things can go on. Fair enough if we're looking at things from a safety perspective, but when you're talking about unions, and a union that has in particular a pretty thuggish reputation, coming onto building sites, filming people without any permission, and then using that footage, which could lead to, some people to be intimidated or whatever that footage is then used for, I think is highly problematic.
All right, let's get to our winner and loser of the week. Stephen Conroy, who's your winner or loser, mate?
Look, I've loved Jessica Fox. I've just think she has been an ornament. But it's a very crowded field of winners. I think Bronwyn said all of the female swimmers have been sensational. What about our rowers? The new awesome foursomes of both sexes. I mean, it's been fantastic. So congratulations and here's to a couple more superstars emerging in the next few days.
Correct, and you'll be pleased as a football man. My little girls get together with their cousins and they watch the Matilda games on Zoom while they're watching the telly. It is the coolest way to be together with friends. Tomorrow's Jersey Day if you want to wear your support for them before their game tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Holly, your winner or loser, mate?
Well, I mean, everyone's saying the Olympic team, and they have to. I mean, it has just been phenomenal. I mean, yesterday, you're right, with the rowing, the breaststroke today, just everything has been fantastic and just so uplifting. And I think it has shown everyone and reminded everyone we are Australia, not a series of little states and fiefdoms that can bicker amongst itself. I think the biggest losers, I still think it's every epidemiologist that's putting a scare campaign out against AstraZeneca. And the Labor Party just pre-selected someone tonight who's in exactly one of them. So
let's just see whether there's a text or Zoom meeting to get rid of her. Thank you very much, Holly. Thank you very much, Stephen. We'll talk to you again very soon. I think under the cover of COVID in the Olympics, her political career will be Mal Meninga in length.